Welcome to the Love Coach Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here with the one and only Coach Alex.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, and I know that today's topic would be very deep.
It's going to be interesting. So, again, we're trying new things, and there's something I wanted to share with Coach Alex. I want to pick his brain on this topic. I share this on one of my TikTok lives. Check it out, Coach_Andrés. And the people loved it. The people loved it because it just really did simplify an unhealed relationship compared to a healed relationship. So ladies, take notes. We're gonna go to Coach Alex and pick his brain and get his opinions and feedback. And here we go right into it. This is called unhealed versus healed relationships. All right, so ladies, take notes. And again, this is part of reading materials, reading assignments I hand out to my clients as a coaching session, coaching package. So if you're interested, again, go to coachingwithandrés.com. Let's get to work. All right, unhealed versus healed. I mean, you know what that's all about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
I think it's a very deep topic. You know, it's not. It's something that can change your life if you focus on the big pictures and you understand where we want to go with you.
Exactly. You realize when you look back at the relationship, you could see the very clear identities of healed and unhealed and who was what. Mm-hmm. But when you're in it, you don't know it. When you're in it, you can't believe it. You think it's the only way to love. This is what we do.
Yeah. And, it drives me, sorry to cut you off, Coach Andrés, but it drives me crazy because I know this podcast is mostly for women, but I coach a man. He was very anxious, codependent, lost his girlfriend. And he says 2 days after, I met this girl, I want to be with her. Oh, God. And I'm like, don't you take the time to heal? And he's like, yeah, but I don't like to be by myself. When he needs to heal. So sometimes I know it's not the most, exciting work when you need to heal.
No,
right? It's not fun. No. But it's necessary. If not, you will be my dear clients and friends that I like. He's a really good man, good man. But he's lost. You cannot be going from codependency to codependency to codependency and not take the time to heal. That's something very important.
Well, we talked about this in our last video about how you need to embrace the healing and make it productively fun, if not exciting, because the other part, when you're healed and happy and strong and love and thriving, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So it's like, who doesn't want more of those things? So if you could bring some sunlight or some joy or some focusedness, clarity, accountability on the tough parts of life, healing in all ways, wouldn't you be kind of doing yourself a service of just trying to find the value of yourself on tough times compared to blaming someone or something? And so let's go right into it. When an unhealed masculine and a feminine connect, and it goes both ways. So the man could be the feminine, the woman could be the masculine, or the vice versa, the typical way. But again, understand the roles. An unhealed masculine and feminine, they usually have the trauma bond. Because someone's unhealed, they're both unhealed. And so they have this trauma bond, rebound, divorce, lonely, trust issues, anxiety, attachments. And so they sync up, and if not almost like fall deeply in love quickly based on the trauma bond. And then, since they're both unhealed, they haven't learned to know how to process or at least express themselves in a constructive, healing way. Mm-hmm. So they're almost like your client. We'll use him as example. Hopefully you're watching. That you just repeat the same cycle. Replace, repeat, different face.
Yeah.
And so the 4 stages of the trauma bond, and this is where I want to get your opinion on this, is first on the trauma bond, when something happens that's a disagreement or an adversity challenge, adverse challenge. He feels controlled. She feels abandoned. He shuts down. She explodes. Does that ring a bell in the sense of calls?
Yeah, of course. That's very accurate.
Yeah.
Because when we are unhealed, men will tend to be in the extreme. What is the worst extreme for a man? It's when we feel control. Like you tell us what to do. What we do is never enough. We feel like we cannot live our life. We have this deep desire of freedom in a way. So we call it peace sometimes, freedom, whatever you want to call it. But the idea is that a man that is not healed, or that is in a relationship with someone that is not healed, he will feel control. And then we start. Because if I feel control, I start to explode. You feel by yourself. You feel lonely. You feel abandoned, right?
Yeah.
And that's when we start to shut down. We don't want any more argument. I'm done. Thank you. Goodbye. And that is the worst, because you will just explode. You will just ask questions. You will just want to understand. So this is a classic 4 steps drama that we want to avoid.
No, it's so true, because again, when you say the trauma bond, he feels controlled, that's to a point where he hasn't done the work. He's unhealed. The masculine will say, in a sense of taking criticism constructively, or being open-minded to disagreements, or not being so egotistically stubborn or so sensitive and triggered. You can call me anything you want. Like, I know what I am. Like, he's done the healing part of, hold on, why am I now dating someone who would say very offensive, rude things to me? I don't find offense to it, but why are you like that? Then you realize she's unhealed. Or he's unhealed because, like, what'd you say? Sensitive skin. Everything's triggered. Oh my goodness. Very defensive, guarded. All these walls and obstacles that he puts in the relationship because he's not healed. And so he constantly feels controlled at the slightest chance that she might do. And so now basically it goes to the other side. She feels abandoned because he's not communicating clearly. He's not being committed to his words and his actions. He's inconsistent, hot, cold. So she feels abandoned. More of her anxious attachment comes out. She feels even more abandoned. She keeps on digging the hole even deeper. She's even more abandoned because she leaned into an unhealed man thinking he's going to secure her, and he can't even secure himself. That's because right. He's like, what are you talking about? I can't secure you. I feel controlled by you. And so he can't control himself. He feels like she's controlling him. He can't secure her. Ooh. She feels like, oh, what an asshole.
And I to quote you, because you talk about it in a previous episode, that is the difference between a kid or a boy and a real man. Like, when I can understand your words better now as well. So ladies, you go check the previous episode and this one, because this is very deep, as I mentioned to you. And so you would be able to understand the gold advice that Coach Andrés are giving you, because that's very powerful.
The idea, and everyone's been a different role of it. In a sense, we've done it. You know what I'm saying? He had his relationships, I had my relationships, and even in family relationships, you have this. And so it's so relative to all things to be aware of it and learn from it from our coaching. So please check out our websites, coachingwithandres.com, FrenchRelationshipExpert.com. But what the idea is, when two people are unhealed, regardless of the role of male, female, it's masculine or feminine, he feels controlled where he's constantly on edge, whereas someone who was healed welcomes challenges, welcomes change, welcomes adversity. She feels abandoned because she's securing and she's leaning on to an unhealed source, right? This bond that's traumatized. So then what does he do to reciprocate her abandonment? He's like, I'm never going to be good enough. Or basically dismissive, avoidant. He shuts down because he hasn't had the tools, or at least the knowledge, to learn how to communicate at a higher level with emotional intelligence. He shuts down, says women are difficult. You can never make them happy. And then she explodes. They're all the same. See, they're always going to cheat on you, or liars. They're all toxic. They're all whatever, assholes. And so she explodes. The point is, it just constantly goes in this vicious, repetitive cycle where you trigger each other's deepest wounds. And this where it goes to the second stage of unhealed masculine and feminine.
What is it?
The trauma bond is what we just talked. And then it goes into the conflict loop. The conflict loop. The conflict loop. The 4 stages of the conflict loop. He calls her too much. You're too much. She calls him, well, you're an asshole. You're emotionally unavailable. Neither feels seen. Neither feels heard. Only defended. And what happens is now the loop has been created where you have now ignored the original conflicting situation. And now you're reacting, responding, and projecting on what someone called you. Asshole, toxic, emotionally unavailable, too much, too needy, childish. How dare you? How dare you raise your voice? And now the conflict has taken a loop into, not because we're unhealed. Well, that's too easy to pay attention to. Now it's because she called me this, and because he's too much. And we go to a loop, to a loop, to a loop, to a loop, and we never resolve the core unhealed problem.
That can explain a lot of the situation. So ladies, I encourage you to just leave a comment if you feel, but that's like, even myself, I can see that in my previous, like before my marriage and my past relationship. It's kind of like it's too easy to blame the other person. It's too easy to focus on the words. And unfortunately, it's a pattern that we repeat unless we find the right person. So you said the healed masculine and feminine, correct?
That was the unhealed version of a
Yeah,
masculine.
so when you
feminine.
find the healed,
Yes.
it's like the moment where you know you're in a great relationship.
Yeah, because you just see a level of honesty and support. Maybe you don't know if you have a future with that person, but when you come across more healed people.
Let me ask you this question. Sorry to cut you
no,
off.
I love it.
No, because I know what everyone will ask you, and I have the same question for you because that's your topic. That's where you're the most comfortable with. How do you know that you heal? You know, people will they ask me this, and it's tough. That's like, how did you know, you, Coach Andrés, that you were healing or that you heal enough to be in a good relationship?
Great question. And so it's different for everyone. It's when you're at peace and an understanding point of the past pain and trauma. You're at peace with it. And so does it always maybe irk you a little bit? Of course. I mean, that's we're human, but you're not asking questions about it, analyzing it. You're not limiting yourself. You're not running away from it. You're at peace. You acknowledge it, and you kind of. It works in so many different ways in life, not just with relationships, even with like grief. You know, you're at peace with it. There's a grief process of things where you stop making excuses and you look into a point where like, that was unfortunate, but I'm a better person now. And so you're at a point where it doesn't affect you as much. And so are you 100% healed? No, there's a scar there for a reason. We have scars, reminders. But you're at a point where it's not irking you or itching you or triggering you to a point of being something you were when you were unhealthy or unhealed.
I love what you mentioned.
Thank you.
Powerful, because I see so many of my clients. But Alice, you know what happened with me in the past. Look at what my ex-boyfriend did to me. And it's always very tragic and dramatic, but it should not stay a wound. No. You should, of course, we are all human, but we should be able to move on from it. So I love what you mentioned.
And thank you. I appreciate it. Because I talk about it even further with forgive and forget.
Yeah.
And so I always find this, and again, I had to go through my own personal struggle of this. And it's so funny, and you see it in movies and all these other. I forgive you, but I'll never forget. And so the idea is, you know, you can have that point of pride on if someone's done something wrong to you, and I'm not even going to justify it for you to do it or don't do it. But the key thing is, if you don't forget and you're still angry and aggressive and triggered and defensive and guarded about what happened that was very unfortunate, and I'm sorry that happened. You're still giving power away to that past and to that situation, if not that person. And I know it's going to take a very insightful moment or maybe a confession at church or who knows what to understand that. Do you have to accept and acknowledge to agree with what happened? No. But understand and have a piece of that was an unfortunate time and I was making bad decisions and I know that was not the person who I thought they were, but I moved on. And so you realize you want to forgive and forget how you still carry on with it and move on. So when you forgive, beautiful. When you don't forget, you're still holding on to it, almost like a chain ball attached to your leg, you know, and you're still connected to the prison sentence, the prison cell of the trauma. And you're still saying, like, I'm not in prison, but you can't get out because you're still connected to the wall. You're still holding yourself back. And so when you let go of not saying, I forgive you, and I forget, you know, it's fine. I forget it because I want to move on. You're really doing it for yourself. And so, again, it's very, very huge on understanding those big steps, which leads us to a healed masculine and feminine relationship. When two people are healed, they come to a divine union. Okay. The divine union is broken up to 4 parts, and I want to get your opinion on this, and it's very simple. That's when you say it just fits. When it's just right, it just fits. He leads with presence. She softens into trust, maybe into more of her femininity. He protects. She nurtures. Simple.
I think that's simple. That's powerful. But that's a little bit an utopia as well.
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
Yeah, that can happen at Hollywood. But it's I have never seen a relationship like this, in my opinion. Oh, yeah, you can see some relationships,
Well,
right?
I mean, it's
But
not as simple to the point of this, but through time, you see that he leads with intent. He leads with direction. He leads that he wants to get married or have kids. He leads with confidence in what he wants.
so let's talk about the unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and ladies, I want you to participate and respond in a comment. This is the dream relationship that you define
Yeah.
for everyone,
Yeah.
at least for us, for me as well. So I have seen you ladies, if I give you this man, you would love to poke him and challenge him. Just because you love the fun, the excitement, you love him sometimes to not respond to you. And there is this, what can I say, in the human nature, there is something like, I don't know how to say in English, you know, when you have some, it's a bad character deep inside us, like the vice. Sorry,
Yeah.
we have a little vice,
Yeah.
right? So I think that we love the challenge so much that we won't go to the divine union just because we love to puck,
True.
and test.
It's not going to be smooth and flawless, or if not perfect, if not just like an easy joyride. No. The divine union's not going to be like effortless in that sense of just, well, yeah, sure. But what I mean, because I agree with you, it is very Hollywood, it is very Disney in that sense. But what we're trying to talk about, how when someone is healed,
The way they can build a
the
relationship.
way they're pursuing you is very clear. Consistency, clarity, intent, honesty. You know what I
I know
mean?
what you're
And
saying.
so they know that if the masculine, and again, this is based on just the energies, not necessarily the role. The masculine, the feminine wants to feel seen, heard, and safe. The healed version of that values feeling seen, heard, and safe. The healed masculine values giving that, because the masculine wants to lead with presence, lead with strength, lead with conviction. And through that, the feminine who's healed, they now softened into trust and less of a challenge. Still maybe some fun,
Yeah.
of course, and all that. And so the masculine falls into more of even like, wow, in a protective state of the feminine partner. And so he's even more protective, even more sacred, even more, takes more proactiveness, if not anticipates concerns or problems with, the feminine, because she's healed. I don't want her to get cold. I want to make sure she's okay. You protect, almost like a father to their child. You know what I mean? And then she nurtures more because the feminine feels that even more. So she nurtures more. It just flows. What healing looks like, those 5 points are: he regulates, not expresses. She expresses, not explodes. They speak, they listen, they see. Just like, we speak, we don't judge. The healed masculine can handle emotion. The healed feminine doesn't use it as a weapon. What's your take?
That's our goal. That's what, and I love this video because you can see the clear difference between unhealed and healed. And I see why people loved your live on TikTok. It was Coach_Andrés. You need to go on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because it's very powerful. Like, you can see one decision, one work on yourself can bring you so much joy, because what you define, it's, for me, the foundation of a great relationship. It's the foundation of something like, and when you find this, let me tell you, your life would be so beautiful. Because the bullshit of toxic and unhealed relationship, we feel alive, but the reality, we just destroy yourself. It's like taking drugs at this time. You need to heal to feel great.
I mean, I'll tell you, the one thing about this, and I love what you said about that, is that as men, did you ever fear, because I know I have in the past and even still probably in the future, that sometimes when we show emotion or vulnerability, we obviously don't think, but there's always that fear of the woman using that as a weapon against us.
I think
like emasculating us because we felt.
Yeah, I think that the issue is that, I don't know if it's only men, but you don't want to give them control on you. That's the way we think, I guess. It's kind of like, if I show my love, that person will know that I'm in love, and then they will think they can play with me. There is this idea that they can use it against you. And so I feel like when we are healed, we know our value. And it's funny because I did a podcast with my wife, and we're both saying, yeah, we love each other, but if he or she does something wrong, we walk away. We won't let someone be toxic with us because we healed and because we have this self-confidence. That doesn't mean that we don't love each other, that we don't support each other, but that means that we only want the healed relationship. That's very important.
It's true. It's true because, again, it leads to that new dynamic where you have, again, those 5 points.
So what are the new dynamic that you see in the coaching that you give people?
They take more accountability in what they date, who they choose, and who they get close to compared to always blaming the dating game, the dating app, or whatever men or attachment issue or whatever red flag that they come across. They now take the responsibility to heal themselves, prepare themselves, elevate themselves to a point where, and it's so insightful to see this because when they do commit to it, they become more humbled and they become more compassionate towards dating and men because they realize they did the work on themselves compared to expecting it from someone else. They did the work on themselves compared to blaming someone else. And so that is humbling because you've now built knowledge and power and education and information. You're now stronger with your emotions. You're now stronger with your EI. And when you have that kind of, a growth, you have more actual humility of, that was tough. All those years back in college, oh man, struggling with, no money in the bank. Woof. I used to work 4 jobs to get, dinner on the table. You have humility of working through yourself and seeing what you're made of. And so when you're in that point, I see how much fun my clients have in the dating game, and they enjoy the process because it is a process. They expect the frustrating rejections or the toxic, love bomber. Like, yeah, I see right through you, but just don't waste my time. See you right there. If they have a strong filter, they have a strong curated system. They're like, yeah, of course, it's fine. It's going to be 9 no's. I'll just wait for that 1 yes. And they realize the resilience, the persistence of the dynamic of pursuing love or relationships, even in a relationship or single. They see the bigger picture. And so they're not easily swayed or sold or manipulated to something unhealed and toxic. They stay eye on the prize and they have fun. Because what they do overall, every time we talk, I'm helping them trying to become more of a better version with their life goals, fitness, nutrition, work, everything. They're always constantly working on themselves. They're building what they want and what they're going to have. And they waste not 1 second with anything less. And so that new dynamic brings safe energy, deep intimacy, no chasing. I don't chase, I attract, the whole thing. All right. No shutting down. Just 2 people choosing each other, not needing to fix each other. What's your take on that? And then again, that's where it says healing changes the love you attract.
So I think that the most important part, in my opinion, is not needing to fix each other. How many women did I coach that were like, but Alex, do you realize it's childhood trauma? And I say, we don't care. It's not our job. Not in a bad way, but just because every time you try to heal or fix him, you know what's going on? He's here knowing that you will do whatever he wants. He will take advantage of you, and then you will be sad, and then you will cry, and you will still do the same mistake. So no, ladies, it's time to go to coachingwithandres.com, get your free evaluation. It's time to share your question in the comments. It is time to change. We live in a world right now where there is real coaches that are dedicated to you, and we find the solutions with you, not for you, because it's not a one plug option. No, it's something personalized. So you need to seek help, because if your job is to fix a man, you will be a member of this podcast for the rest of your life. And I don't want that for you.
No, I love what you said right there with that example. And that's so to recap everything is that's a conflict loop you just expressed in that scenario where the client, the woman he's talked about, saying she feels bad about his childhood. Okay, so the conflict loop now is about how he was treated in his childhood, but the conflict that actually is the centered problem is how he treats you.
Exactly.
how he disrespects you. And so you ignore that. You create a loop of, but it's the childhood I feel sorry for. And then you just allow that to loop to another thing and another thing and another thing. And you basically tolerate more and more, not paying attention to the actual thing that, guess what? We all have fucking something going on. No perfect family, childhood, relationship, marriage, and anything. We all have something. He's got something. I got something. He's got something. We all got something. So it's not that we don't care. The idea is like, get over it. Either you do something about it or you don't. And that's where, at today's world, people are more open to getting help. And that's what we're here to do. So there is no excuse, ladies, for you to use that as an excuse to, well, he had this and he had that, so it's okay that he could do this to me and disrespect me. That's not okay. Definitely not okay. Sorry, I got a little too passionate right there.
That's amazing. So remember to leave a comment, 5-star review, coachingwithandres.com. That's where you can get your free evaluation, because the goal is to get a tailored plan. And I know this video was a little bit longer, but it's because it's deep.
Yep.
It is what will change your love life, ladies. And the good news is there is solutions. That's why we're here. So we see you soon.
Take care.
Take care, ladies.